We can also see by displaying the menu user itself who are the reference users behind the star multiple. And also the reports that you can run from iMenu400 will give you the same detailed information. How authority is inherited can be quite complex if a user has more than one reference user allocated to it. And this table, which is copied from the iMenu400 user manual, shows how the authority can be inherited. It's worth noting that if one of the reference users has exclude authority, meaning his authority to a particular menu or menu option has been revoked, then that revocation of authority takes priority over any user authority from other reference users, and the end result is that the end user will have no authority to use that particular menu or menu option. Now we'll talk about the two levels of maintainers of iMenu400. We have the iMenu400 owner, who can maintain all aspects and authorizations of iMenu400. Then we have a delegated task of administrator. The administrator has much less authority to maintain iMenu400 than an iMenu400 owner has. In fact, he can only grant access to menus and menu options for which he's received administrator rights. An example of this is, say we have a department who employs lots of temporary staff. You can give the department manager administration rights to the menu used by that department, and he can grant and revoke authority to his temporary staff himself without having to call up the security officer or iMenu400 owner every time he wants to do this. But he's not allowed to create menus or menu options or menu users himself. When you want to define more Menu400 owners, you do that in the Z-Change settings screen, and you add more users to this list. When you want to make someone an administrator for a particular menu, then you use option 4 against that menu line in working with user authority. In the second half of this presentation, I'll show you how to do this live. But here you can see option 4 has been taken against the menu test 1 for user approver. He has now got administration rights, and he can now grant and revoke authority to users to this particular menu and all options within that menu. Now we're going to talk about menu presentation. The menu presentation to the end user can have several different looks and feels. One way of presenting two lines in the heading of the iMenu400 screen is to use the program MN204R. This will allow you to display the current menu name and also the parent menu to that menu name, so that the user always knows where he's come from and where he's going to. You can also, between non-sequential option numbers, you can have a blank line which helps divide your menu screen up into logical segments. To do that, type in the value yes in this element of the settings. Here we can see the result of using MN204R. This current menu is the order management menu, which was called from the Olympic Live Environment menu. You saw on the previous screen, on this screen, that we have, well, this has only got 3 options, but this is a single column menu. It allows us then to type up a long menu text, menu option text, but we might have lots of options available for this particular menu, and we might want then to have 2 columns of options on one screen. In order to facilitate this, you need to change the settings number of option column parameters from 1 to 2. The result of that is shown in this example here, and you can also see in this example when we've created menu options as text options. These text options are underlined and highlighted, and therefore divide this screen for the user into logical units. And here is an example of how you do that by entering text in the requested menu line. This text in the text description will then appear on the menu highlighted and underlined. Now we're going over to the most complicated part of iMenu400, that is change control. Change control is required by organizations who have to comply to certain security regulations and laws, in that user access to applications has to be granted under requester and approver pairs. In other words, we always have to have a approval of maintenance of the iMenu400 menus and menu options before the changes are made live and appear on the user's application screen. I must warn you that if you have change control active, it can make maintenance quite complex, as in every request has to be approved. Gezondheid. So it is best when configuring iMenu400 to start by not having change control active when you create all the menus and menu options. Once these have been accepted and made live, then you can set change control on. Now let's have a look how this works. To activate change control, you go to the change settings option and you change the last parameter on the screen to yes. Other options you have are no, there will be no change control, or log, which means any maintenance to the iMenu400 menus, menu options and authorities and users will be logged, but there will be no approval required before these changes are made live. In order to use the change control system, you need to set up a number of approver and requester relations. These are pairs of people who will work together to create and authorize changes within the iMenu400 environment. In order to maintain these relations, you need to be an iMenu400 owner. One important and obvious rule to this is that a requester is not allowed to improve his own change requests. But it is possible to define one approver for all requesters, which makes administration somewhat easier in smaller companies. Now this is a copy of the Work with Approver Requester Relation screen. We can see that we've defined here two users. We have user approver, who is the approver of QSEC offers change requests. We also have defined as an approver QSEC offer, who is allowed to approve all change requests from any user, of course not his own change requests. I'm just reading the screen now while you do it as well. This is actually a summary of what I've just told you. And now onto the next screen. Oh yes, this is important. By making changes, for instance, to the library list of a menu, you find that you may be locking more items than you first envisaged. Just to help you in this process, locked items will be highlighted on your maintenance screen, so you know you're waiting for a pending request for a change. So here's a little example on the screenshots. In the second half of this I'll show you some live change requests. Here we're changing the text on the menu test 1, and we're entering that, and when we enter that we can see that when we're working under change control, the item or the menu line test 1 is changed to blue, so that I immediately know that this item is now locked pending approval of my change. when this is submitted, I can see that I've got an RFC number, unique number 59, and that has been submitted now for approval. As an approver, I take option 6 from the administration screen menus, and I get the screen work with requests for change. I can see a list of logged changes, of changes which have been requested, rejected or approved, and I can see that there is one new request for change which has just been entered, and I can approve this, and I can reject this, I can display it, and if I'm the requester I can also withdraw this RFC. If I, by the way, try to maintain a item for which a current RFC is waiting for approval, this item will be locked, as you can see by this message at the bottom of the screen, until the RFC is approved or rejected or withdrawn. If we use here option 4, I can withdraw my own requests, and if we use option 2, I get this screen, and in this case I've used option 11 to toggle between before and after, and I see the result after the change. I can then use F17 to accept this change, or F20 to reject it. If I use F17, this change becomes live, approved, and now the user on his screen sees the result of this change. When working in teams of requesters and approvers, it may be convenient to use the break mode possibility within the requester and approver relationship. When a requester submits an RFC, it will, in this case when break mode is on, immediately come up on the screen of the approver, and the approver will then be able to efficiently and directly react to this RFC, and with minimal impact on the end user. Again, if you want to see more live examples of working in a change control environment, please look at the second half of this presentation, and I'll go through this on our system. So, how does the end user gain access to the iMenu400 menu? In the first place, his initial program on the user profile, on the i5 user profile, has to be, or has to eventually end up in calling mn000c from mnlib. Or he can call from a command line, if he's got the possibility, the command Z start menu in mnlib. He will then be presented with his menu, which he can take options from, go submenus, or when allowed he can use the Z go option and get a list of all available menus and options on his system, or directly enter the menu and option number and take a fast path through to that menu and option. If we're using group jobs, we can use the attention key, which is the escape key on a normal keyboard, to call up a list of active tasks and swap between from one group job and another one, or go back to the main menu. So this ends my short overview. In a second presentation I'll show you the live walkthrough. I'd like to thank you on behalf of SRC Secure Solutions, the developer of iMenu400 and Task Manager. And as you can see on the screen, we're also value-added reseller of a number of other important security products for data encryption and security compliance on multi-platforms. Thank you very much for your attention, and good luck using iMenu400.